So in that sense, we are still really early because you still have cryptocurrency people who don't understand what's going on with NFTs.
Today we have Michael Diamond, aka Chef Dizzy, who is the co-founder of Junkyard Dogs NFT. Chef, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lisa, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. We just recently wanted to have you on because we found what you're doing is so interesting. We're also in that space. We're getting ready to drop our project in the first quarter of next year. And we wanted to have you on to talk about NFTs, to talk about how you got into it, what your project is, and how you sold out so quickly. So to our viewers, the project is Junkyard Dogs. And why don't you take us through how you came up with the idea and how you executed on that?
Okay, so it's a pretty broad question, and honestly, it's a long story, and so I'm just going to have to arbitrarily pick a point to start from. But essentially, I am one of several co-founders of Junkyard Dogs, and we are a group of NFT entrepreneurs and investors who all met actually collecting on the Vivi app. So we had all joined Vivi in early February, early March, and I created a Discord group, and we kind of all started meeting in there. And it was just a group of people who were all NFT entrepreneurs, and then we became really great friends. I don't know about you, but when I first started getting into NFTs in February, nobody I knew was talking about it. There was very little information online, some hyped news articles. But I don't know, it was enough to catch my interest and realize that, hey, this is going to be like ICOs. This is going to be like DeFi. This is going to be the next wave of, crypto tech that is really going to be explosive. And so that was when I kind of put my head to the ground and started trying to find out as much as I could. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that even though I came to NFTs purely from a financial point of view, what I found was a group of friends that are actually my friends that I actually have spent hundreds of hours talking to over the last, 9-10 months. Right. And, this is what formed the basis of Junkyard Dogs. It's important to understand that because, when Bored Apes had launched, some of us had bought, unfortunately, I turned my nose at it. I turned my nose to the whole concept of animal avatar PFPs. I thought it was stupid. When the next project came out, I said, this is also stupid. This is a derivative. And now we have derivatives of derivatives. And where is it going to end? I thought couldn't possibly get past 10 projects, but we saw the formula kind of becoming the meta, right? And so, of course, we're all people very deeply invested in the space. And so we, kind of started talking about what kind of NFT project could we make. A couple of ideas were put out there, but actually, it's our main founder, Junkyard Sloth or Ecomi Collector on Vivi. He came up with the first draft idea of what would eventually become Junkyard Dogs, and it was actually I think it was goats. I think they were ugly looking goats. He came to us with this drawing. He's like, "Hey guys, what do you think?" And we're like,
"How could you have an ugly goat?"
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think you have it. It wasn't really. It didn't catch. And so that kind of drifted a little bit. And actually, Sloth had done most of the preliminary drafts of the idea of Junkyard Dogs, of the logo, of what the actual outline would be. And he came back maybe a week later and was like, "All right, guys, I'm done with goats. What about this?" And it was this really, really ugly drawing of a Frenchie, but the outline, the silhouette was there. And from there, we were like, okay, this is it. I was like, all right. I had my own NFT project ambitions, but it's hard. It's hard going it alone. And I was trying to think of some way to turn cooking. I'm a chef. I'm a real chef. I was trying to create food NFTs. I had a really interesting idea, but it would have cost a lot. And I'm a chef who's into NFTs, but I'm not like a programmer or Solidity developer or graphic designer. And so I don't have a ton of the technical skills that we would need to really make an interesting, innovative NFT project on my own. And so I decided to support my friend 100%. Everybody else came on board, and Junkyard Dogs began. What can I say? We found an artist, we cherry picked an artist. He actually did not want to share his name, so we contracted him in his way. And he created our collection. He's still been working with the team the entire time, by the way. He's still a member of the team and still working with us and creating art. And he's actually working on a really amazing it's kind of a secret project right now, but we're really hoping to bring a really professional level production from the Junkyard Dogs team to the global stage. And it's really exciting. And our lead artist, he's the one that's doing it. So yeah, so that's how Junkyard Dogs started. We were a group of friends, right time, right place. We saw the patterns, and this is essentially my revelation about what this was, what changed my mind. Maybe I should talk about that, right? Because it sounds right now that I'm just like an opportunist and I just, what I mean?
No, actually it doesn't at all. And one thing I wanted to say, and Kosta and I have both found this in this space, is just how open and collaborative everybody is. It's incredibly refreshing. Yeah. So no, you don't sound like that at all, but So continue on.
So anyway, my initial enlightenment about what Bored Ape Yacht Club was and what, Cool Cats and Gutter Cats and all these kind of successful precursors to the PFP project, the ones who set the trend, is that these are modern day social clubs. People have been talking about community for a long time. It's a buzzword. It's almost overused, honestly, in the NFT space. But it's tapping into something actually vitally important. And that is the element of human connection that's happening on the internet right now cannot be undervalued. I think the pandemic has perfectly set the global stage. People have been isolated. They're cut off from their normal physical social institutions. They're cut off from their normal friend groups, or, everybody's been quarantining differently, and we've all been trying to do it, in a responsible way, hopefully. Right. But needless to say, your life and your social life has probably changed. And so what I realized is Bored Ape Yacht Club and these animal profile picture projects are actually, the new era of social clubs. They're going to replace the Freemasons, Rotary International, all of the physical, social clubs that people have been using for years to spread influence and affluence, and kind of bring people into their network and circle. And this is what's happening on Web 3.0, but the entire structure's been changed. Now people aren't being gatekept by class, job, who you knew before. Right. These are brand new organic structures that are just coming up naturally. And for me, it's really inspiring. And so that I just wanted to make that clear that, I had a see the light moment where I really realized that this was way beyond stupid cartoon animals. You know what I mean? And really what these PFPs represent is your face in the digital sphere. It's like people are very, we like to be deep, but we can also be really shallow. And at the same time, what we wear, how we present ourselves says a lot. So how do you do that in the digital space? Okay. It's much more difficult when you're just a screen name, maybe hid behind some numbers like follower counts and friend lists and stuff like that. Right. So how do you show people who you are? Well, a profile picture says a lot. First of all, you identify your tribe. You can identify your level of affluence. If you have a Bored Ape, well, I assume you have pretty decent bags. You know what I mean? That's a really expensive, right? I mean, that's a big time
That's right.
piece. So it says a lot. It says a lot. And when you buy a PFP and you join a community, instantly it's like almost like joining a gang or a church. You know what I mean? The people automatically accept you. Okay. You're automatically in, you're one of the group. And I think this is important specifically with NFTs, let alone from the entire world, because we're operating in a space that not a lot of people in our regular lives maybe understand. They're concepts that are really heady, and there's also a lot of danger. We can talk about how much money you can make with NFTs, but there are a lot of opportunists. There are a lot of cash grabs. You know what I mean? Yep. And I'm saying, Junkyard Dogs is definitely not one of them. However, there are at this point thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of projects who have copied the formula. They know the buzzwords. They generally understand the principles for a sellout, right? And they're just trying to make as much money as possible while not having a lot of bones underneath the hood. And I actually, Kosta, you contacted me on LinkedIn, and this is what I do. Most of the time, projects contact me. I tell them to consult with me, and then I give them the hard truth. I say, look. The project is a bunch of buzzwords. There's no bones here. You know what I mean? Like you can continue to try down this path, or you need to really reassess like what you're trying to do and push innovation. Because in my opinion, you asked me early on, how do we sell out Junkyard Dogs? A lot of it was the right place at the right time. Okay. If Junkyard Dogs
with the right intention too.
Yeah. With the right intention. Sure. But if Junkyard Dogs were to launch right now, I don't know that it would sell out in 8 minutes, which by the way, Yeah, we had some delays in our production. We were the first animated avatar profile picture project, or we strove to be. By the time we actually had our full launch, I think Fluff World had some 3D animations that were kind of minor, and but we had fully animated animal avatars, and we'd sneak peeked them, way before anybody else had done that. And we sold out in 8 minutes, and it was a massive success. Overnight, we couldn't believe it, and my friends, the people we launched the project with, we were all anons practically to each other. It was, even though we're friends, we didn't share our faces or our actual identities with each other until launch day, when all of a sudden, it was flying off the shelves, and we're all celebrating on voice face chat, just like this, and that was kind of the first time I really saw all the Junkyard Dogs co-founders, in person, my friends, the guys I've been talking to for 6 months. It was really cool. But if it were to launch again today with the same premise and principles, with all the competition that there is, I don't think that it would sell out. I think it would have a really hard time gaining traction and really hard time gaining attention. And that's what I mean. Is that, at this stage in the game, we're not as early as people would like to believe that we are still, and we are, but let's be clear. I still think, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, I love it. I don't want to cut you off. I just want to, because I will forget, 2 things. One, why don't you think it would sell out as quickly as it did? And 2, based on that, how are you adding value to your community and moving forward?
It's a fantastic 2 questions. Okay. First of all, I think we would have a hard time selling out today just because the competition has increased exponentially. Okay. So I think on launch day, we may have even delayed our launch day once because there was a bunch of other projects launching at the same time, and we didn't want gas wars to be an issue. Right. Yeah. Well, forget about that. There's 100 projects launching every day. Okay. Even traditional marketing methods like an invite contest, trying to get people to join your Discord, something that was really effective, in February, March, April. Now the community is so fatigued with this kind of stuff. If you hit me with the copy and paste Discord invite message, I'm just blocking you. There's no even possible conversation here to be had. I'm not interested. I've actually turned my DMs off. I think most people who are in Discord for long enough and are in enough servers, they end up turning their open DMs off to people. And it's a shame, because I actually really enjoyed connecting with people in the back channels, but now it's just kind of it's a spam risk. And also it's a people are always trying to fish, so it's dangerous too. Okay, the question about how we're trying to return value to the holders is a really good one. So Junkyard Dogs, first and foremost, is an NFT entrepreneurs club, kind of similar to the Billionaire Links Club and what you guys are trying to do. We are trying to create a place where NFT entrepreneurs can connect on a social level. And we have our Discord and our chats, and we have our locked areas where people can do that. And one of our founders, Dean, he was getting all the Junkyard Dogs to buy into the Pac's last drop, because we're actually all really big Pac fans. Maybe if you're not a fan of Pac's art, you could be a fan of the way his art appreciates over time. Okay. And so it was one of the surest bets, and it was great to bring all the JYDs along for that. So that's one way. An intangible way, I would say, is the community, the connection. This is the hardest one to quantify, right? The tangible, sure. The tangible ways, well, the very first thing we did is we released a banner. We airdropped a banner. People have said on Twitter, how come nobody does banners? Well, actually, Junkyard Dogs has released. I think we spent like $6,000-7,000 paying a professional concept artist to create an amazing concept art of the junkyard. Okay. That's one thing. We have this system called Scrap. And this is actually the biggest component. I'm kind of the director. I'm the scrap director, you could say, these days. And so Scrap is it's a loyalty NFT that gets dropped to all Junkyard Dog holders with an unlisted dog. Okay. So once a week on Saturdays or Scrapper Day, we airdrop a Scrap NFT to the Junkyard Dogs. This can be used. It's essentially an NFT crafting system. We were inspired by Diablo 2's crafting system and some crafting systems in other games. And so essentially you can combine the scraps together to refine them to a greater level. We have this piece de resistance, I guess you could say, called the K9000. And it is a Terminator-esque robot mechano dog that fits deeply into the Junkyard Dogs lore. And so what you do is you take the scrap and you build body parts, you build blueprints. You have to buy the spray cans and put the skins on the parts you want, and then you fuse them all together. And it's actually a really innovative system that our dev, he's a genius. So we do the scrap airdrops on Matic. Okay, so all the little bits and pieces, they're all airdropped on Matic, so it's not costly. And then the final product is completed on Ethereum. So the K9000 was kind of like the end goal. You'd need, if you only had one dog, it would take you several years to make a K9000. Only 88 of them exist, but there are lots of smaller intermediary redeemables along the way. Okay, so on Halloween we had the Junkyard Pups. The Junkyard Pups was an entirely in-house production. It was another mini collection. You can see our artist, his hand there. It's exactly the same style. These Junkyard Pups are a little animated, and I think we set out to drop 3,000 of them. I think 1,000 of them got redeemed, and it was cool. It's a mini collection. We're also working on some really exciting artist collaborations. This is something I'm really passionate about. So I'm really into PFP, or I'm really into NFTs, but I'm not super bullish on all PFPs. Okay. Personally, my taste and my value interests are more on things that are pushing the envelope, be it with games or PDE or metaverse, but also fine art. I love fine art. And so I have a decent collection, and I have made some relationships with some artists, and essentially Junkyard Dogs is partnering with several artists to create a scrap exclusive drop where the artist will be basically we're commissioning them to do a work for us that will only be available to scrap holders. Right. Yeah. And so our very first one that's coming out for that is by an amazing artist, digital sculptor. His name's Jawdane 3D. You can find him on Instagram. He did a collaboration with Primal Cypher with NFT Artcom on Nifty Gateway. And that was the first time I met Jawdane, and I was a big Primal Cypher fan. And so I picked up his piece, and I've known Jawdane for a long time. And so he was actually the first artist I approached to do a JYD derivative, and it's amazing. I mean, yeah, anyway, I can't wait to reveal it. We also have Chemical Messiahs lined up, Tina Eisen, and I'm going to give you guys an exclusive, although it might not be an exclusive by the time the video drops. we actually just secured a collaboration with one of my favorite artists of all time, Kidmograph. Okay, Kidmograph is big time in the animation motion graphics. I've been collecting him for a long time. He recently had a big boost of popularity when XCopy of Renown. He bought up a bunch of things off of his floor, but I was a big fan both before that, and I'm like so excited that Kidmograph is going to do a scrap exclusive for us. Because for me, this is how we can bring value back to the holders. You know what I mean? By bringing them something that they can only get by being Junkyard Dog holders. That also has inherent value, across the board too. And, anyway, so I'm excited about that. Beyond that, we're also working on a comic. I have a really great friend, Mark Robinson. He used to draw comics for Marvel. You can look him up. He also goes by Mars Presente, and he's doing a Junkyard Dogs comic series for us. And right now we just have a 3-pager. It's our Junkyard history. Okay. The black and whites have been done. We've leaked a little bit of that on Twitter. It's in the process of getting full colored. We actually also have another amazing potential collab that's going to come up with another comic artist in the NFT space who may do a collaboration with us on that. And so essentially, to answer your question concisely, because I can run on, and I'm sorry.
No, I love the run on.
Yeah, by trying to engage in professional level IP development, be it through animation, graphics, art, metaverse development, we have been trying to give value to our holders in that way. Go ahead. Yeah.
And you're giving value to your holders, but look at what you're doing for these creators.
Yeah.
Totally.
Giving them access to this audience
I mean, okay, so it is
no more starving artists.
There is some truth to what you're saying, okay? But to me, I feel like the little guy in the relationship with the artist because I'm a big fan of theirs, and so I'm like lucky that they saw me worthy to collaborate with, So I feel like a little man, but you are right because that is one of the things that I want to do. It's an NFT club, and obviously I have a lot of experience. And so we try not to make it about ourselves, if that makes sense, which is kind of complicated, right? Because I'm the spokesperson and I clearly have a lot of knowledge, but it's not also, I don't know, it's complicated also with giving financial advice. And, it's just,
you come across very authentic.
Yeah, I appreciate
everyone.
that.
So many of the people that we've talked to in this space are and have, and I can't say it enough how refreshing it is.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like the little person in the relationship with the artist, but it is true that we will be exposing them to our holders, and it will expose them to new audiences. And these guys are also like, a lot of people entering NFTs, all they see is PFPs, but they don't understand that there are so many other opportunities out there, especially in the fine art artists who get it, who are making a career for themselves in Web3. This is just the infancy of their careers. Art traditionally outperforms the stock market, right? And so I think the possibilities for the right artists in this environment, I feel like a lot of times I'm buying like Picasso or Da Vinci while they're still alive, and I know it, and it's just like the best secret ever that in 10 years I just know it's going to be so massive. We've already seen it, but anyway.
Who do you think the right artists are categorically?
Okay. Oh, categorically, the right artists are the ones that you really, really like. Okay. However,
that's a great answer.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. If you're going to spend a lot of money on something, I swear you really need to like it. Okay. Because there is no guarantees. Sometimes you buy something and it does go half, and all of a sudden you're gutted, right? You're like, oh my God, I spent $5,000 on this and now it's only worth $2,500. You want to really make sure you like what you're buying in that circumstance. But I do have a list of artists. I'll shout them out because I like to say them all the time. Okay. There's artists that I don't own, and there's artists that I do own. Okay. And there's like kind of two tiers, right? Some of them I don't own them because I just can't afford it. So I would say, at the top of the list, you have X Copy, you have Nest Graphics, you have Pac, who I do own a little bit. I do own some Pac. You have Ferocious. There's also Hackatow. I don't have any. I mean, I just have some Pac. I mean, these guys have already exploded. They've already hit the major auction houses. Their pieces are already fetching for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you see that this has already happened for a certain cadre of artists, you can only anticipate what will happen to those careers in 10 years. So if I had $1 million, that's who I would be buying right now. Yeah. I would be buying at least some of those, and Beeple as well. But Beeple, it's hard for me to really advocate for Beeple because his work is already so expensive, right? And it's I don't know. Okay, so then after those artists, there's artists who some of them I've become really great friends with, who I collect heavily, and that would be like Dot Pigeon, Annabelle Sicanolfi, Kidmograph, who I just mentioned, Primal Cipher, and also his Encode Graphics. There's some really great burgeoning artists, Ted's Little Dream, his brother Kev the Painter, Swolf Chan, Daniel Arsham, also amazing guy. He's also really expensive though, so it's hard. He's in the 5,000 plus category, but he has these amazing art pieces that change over time. You know what I mean? And so it's different every day of the year. Yeah, it's very interesting that what you can do with digital art. And this is what I'm saying is that PFP projects, just like art, I think, or NFT projects, rather, I should say, should strive to push the boundaries of what's possible in the digital medium. Web 3.0 allows us to reimagine the way our relationships give value to each other, the way creator and consumer are able to interact and give value to each other. It's not just a one-way model anymore, producer consumer, it's more circular than that. And by being a consumer, I'm also contributing to the creator. It's a very interesting model. And so, yeah, when in the case of art, art that has been stuck on a 2D flat static surface for thousands of years now has the ability to be animated, has the ability to change variable inputs. People are adding sound, infinity loops. I love Kidmograph because first of all, his art hits a special nostalgic place in my heart. It reminds me of something that I can't quite remember. You know what I mean? It's got that feeling. but also they're all animation loops that just continue seamlessly. You know what I mean? And so you can kind of just get lost in it forever. But that's part of the possibilities of the digital medium, you know? And so, yeah. All right. Go ahead. What's
Wow. I love it.
I'm sorry, Lisa. Or I'm
No.
not sorry, but you know,
No, you're not sorry.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you, based on what you're saying there with the art too, I know you said stuff about PFP projects and more there's just oversaturation. Where do you see the NFT world going in 2022? What trends do you think will come about? DAOs, different stuff with communities. Where do you think things are going? Utility?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, I love DAOs. They scare me a little bit because I don't know how they're going to be regulated in the future. And so Junkyard Dogs is not a DAO. We've talked about it. I've been against it every time, because the last thing I'd want is to put years and years of my life into an organization that ends up being ruled illegally in the country that I live in. You know what I mean? USA is probably more stringent than most places, but you know, I would just hate for that to happen, right? However, the opportunities that fractionalized ownership or group governance provide are really amazing. You know, I think while we're talking about buzzwords, you have to be careful going into 2022, because there have been some legal DAOs that have come about, even incorporated in the United States, for example, when they were trying to purchase the Constitution.
Yep.
However, if you look closely, none of the people who were participating in that DAO actually shared any fractionalized ownership of the Constitution. They were purchasing voting rights as to what to do with that after it was being purchased. And so what you're going to find, people, the savvy investor or unawares investor needs to be very careful and read, like, what is the DAO? What exactly am I buying here? Because you think fractionalized ownership, but really it could be arbitrary choices that are put in front of you. You know, what the DAO means is really up to the creators and what that structure is and what it gives you. So I would just caution care over DAOs, even though I am a big fan of the idea conceptually. I think it's going to be really revolutionary, and you know, I'm learning a lot about them. But as for other trends going into 2022, I see what's going on, Web 3.0 and the metaverse, almost as if civilization is being recreated in the digital landscape. Okay.
Yeah.
So first you have the people. Okay. And that is these hundreds of thousands of PFP projects. And that's why I still think there might be room for all of them. You know, they're not all going to be Ferrari, Louis Vuitton. They're not all going to be Bored Apes. There's only going to be one Bored Apes. Okay. And I don't think that there needs to be 10 projects that all have a 60th floor. That doesn't even make sense to me, the way, you know, goods are stratified, right? You have luxury goods that are at the top, and they're at the top because it's lonely at the top. You know, there's not room for dozens and dozens of luxury brands. And so I don't know if chasing that is the right models. But anyway, sorry, I digress. So you have the,
but that's also the way that I'm calling it our old economy and our old society, always chasing after that one position at the top. What I love about this new environment is that there's room for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And fresh ideas fresh ideas. You before Web 3.0, you know, I'm a excitable guy. I have ADD, you know what I mean? I'm almost adapted for this imaginative space. If you knew me in real life, I have lots of ideas. I'm a dreamer.
That shocker, really?
Yeah, right.
I never would have gotten that, Chuck. Never.
Sure. But there's kind of the sinking realization that any idea you've ever had has already been thought of, and it's already been done by somebody else. Okay. It's the sad truth. There's a lot of people on this planet, and it's been around for a long time. But Web 3.0 and cryptocurrency completely takes that out of the narrative. Now, all of a sudden, there's almost infinite possibilities. There's tons and tons of things that haven't been done. So
it's not about who you know. It's not, you know, it's an even playing field if you're willing to do the research.
It can be. What I'd like to say on that note, though, is that network and connection is important. And while many people might have looked at the early time I spent in the VV Discord, for example, dozens and dozens, hundreds of hours over the course of months, right, in February, and they would have said, Mike, you're wasting your time. What the hell are you doing with your life, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it was those connections and relationships that I made that set the foundation for everything else that I did. And as a matter of fact, my biggest advice to people who are entering this space is that you need to be an active participant in Discords, on Twitter. You can't just be a bystander and expect the networks to open up to you. You have to put yourself out there, and you're not going to meet the same people that I met, but you're going to meet your people. You know what I mean? You're going to meet your people, and that's what community is about, and making friends is about, and so I think that part cannot be understated enough. If you have serious aspirations for the NFT space and metaverse, this is where you want to be. You need to be putting an hour a day into Discord, or if you can't do that, 30 minutes, but it has to be conscious. There was many times where I came downstairs, I had my cup of coffee, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to try this out. I'm just going to be in Discord today for a couple hours. This is where I'm going to hang out. And there was never one time where I regretted that, so it always turned into another connection, another exciting possibility here or there. But I want to go back. I want to go back real quick because I do have some thoughts on the trends for 2022. Sorry, I have metaphors upon metaphors, but essentially, we have the people, and now we're creating the worlds for them to inhabit. I think that that NFT projects that try to import people, import the avatars that be into their project will be the successors, like a passport, So instead of giving people more avatars to choose from, projects that have the idea, okay, we're going to bring your Bored Ape into the game. We're going to bring your links into the game. We have a Junkyard Dog avatar.
That's pretty. I get it.
So going that way, how can we incorporate now also complementing the PFPs, accessories? I'm a big fan of the MetaBoom project. It didn't sell out. It's hard. Listen, I want to say again, it's hard. I think if MetaBoom had launched 4 or 5 months ago, it would be a different story. I met the MetaBoom's a great project. They are a music NFT gallery player, and they have an innovative mechanic where you can load your music NFTs up in a player, and when people listen to them, you earn their native currency, and so it's a play to earn, right? It's DJ to earn, and so it's really cool. I love this concept, and my mutant ape has like a MetaBoom. He's like holding it on his shoulder. It's behind the PFP, right? So it doesn't like take up. It complements, and they also styled it after the mutant apes, and they want to do future generations styled after different PFP projects, so that their accessory naturally blends well with the user, right? Anyway, I think it's a great project. I don't know why they didn't sell out. I can't say, and they're still working on it. They're still working on it. I think they sold about 1,000 booms, but for me, I think they were doing all the right things to some degree, I wasn't on their team, right? So I can't speak for what happened behind the scenes or that, but complementing PFPs, I think is going to be a major area for growth in 2022. And so we're talking about P2E gaming. I'm looking for the P2E games that allow you to bring your avatar, your PFP into the game. And Junkyard Dogs did something like that actually on our website. Not so much P2E, is very simple, but we have like a cat invaders game, and we have a pretty interesting mechanic. I haven't seen it anywhere else. It's very simple, but it connects to your wallet. You choose which dog you want to be, and it puts that dog right in the pilot seat of the spaceship. And so that's your dog. And when you get your high score, your dog is there, and you type in your name, and you know what I mean? It's pretty cool. It's on the blockchain, I wanted to, anyway, it's what you may find if you do sell out your PFP project is that there's a million avenues to go down. You're going to have more ideas than you're going to have the ability to execute on, and figuring out which directions to chase and focus on is going to be difficult, because there's always going to be the other avenues, and other grass is greener. And even if you're working on a group project, maybe differing opinions, right, about what needs to be done. So we've developed a lot of things, and going into the gaming route, I guess this is why I sighed, right, is because I think we had wanted to make a larger suite of games, arcade games, different kind of games, but game development is expensive, hiring a developer, there's a lot that goes into that. And meanwhile, we purchased a massive plot in Sandbox. We're premium Sandbox partners. Okay. We're having our sandbox being built by Land Vault. We're live streaming it. One of the builders, Integ, he streams it on Twitch. It's really cool to watch. If you haven't seen the process, but that's really expensive. I mean, honestly, what's funny is the premium land purchase in the sandbox was one of the best, investments, I guess, Junkyard Dogs made, just because at the time sand was rather inexpensive, even though the land itself was still, I think, like 80 or 90, $100,000, something like that total, in USD. But I think it's worth, 5 times that now, you know what I mean? Based off of the way Sandbolt's blown up. And so that's really exciting. You know what I mean? That feels good. But yeah. So I hope that answers your question about where I see things going. I think building out the digital landscape, making that real, where people can bring themselves, because essentially that's what our PFPs are. They're ourselves. What would you, this is a kind of a grotesque question, right? But what would you sell your face for? Right? If somebody wanted it, so if somebody wanted to buy your face, how, $1 million? But you'll never be you again, right? You could maybe buy another face. Maybe it depends on how much you like your face. But when I really ask myself the question, I don't know if I would sell my face for any amount of money. Then I would never be me again.
Yeah,
right?
no, I would. Yeah.
It would be somebody else. So maybe it's not a completely logical leap of reasoning, right? But I think about PFPs, and I think about that one PFP that becomes your digital identity, right? In my case, I have a mutant ape, and it's doubled. It's doubled in value in like the last week or so. It's been insane. They went from, I bought mine for 4.5. It's like 10.5 now, and it's not a floor ape either. I bet you I could get 12 for it, right? And my wife's like, well, maybe you should sell it, And I'm like, I don't know. Then I would never have. And that's me. I've put time into that, representing myself, and so now certainly there is a price on my ape, and if somebody offered me the right amount of money, I'd definitely sell it, right? I wouldn't be able to. I'm not in a position to say no. But when you're trying to understand why people might refuse an offer, or why certain PFPs become so valuable or even useful in the sense of brand identity, this is why I think this is a major component to me. So, yeah. All right. Next question.
You've answered a lot.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. This is great.
I love this. I sat down at my kids got invited to a birthday party, and I went down, and those poor parents, they didn't know what was coming for them. They asked me what I did, and I started talking about NFTs, and they asked a couple questions, and I kept apologizing, just kind of like I am. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to dominate the conversation. They're like, no, go ahead. They were hungry for it, right?
Absolutely.
They were hungry for it. But yeah, it's kind of like a faucet. It turns off and has a hard time turns on and has a hard time being turned off.
I think a big thing too, funny you said that about just like going to your kid's birthday party, the house there. It's like, I assume because we're just so like in the realm of talking to people every day that are in the NFT space. But when I step out of that and I go to like the gym or talk to people in general, and I mention or Christmas, say, oh, I'm into NFTs. Most people have no idea what I'm talking about. And then they want to know some more about it too. So I think, especially we think the industry's it's very saturated, and there's a lot of things going on, tons of projects coming out. But I don't think the main society really is into NFTs yet, or even scratch the surface in terms of PFPs are one thing, but the utility of just having your house, your deed on that, cars on there, and different things like that. I don't think we're even close to that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's why I say it's kind of a weird place where we're in right now, because we're both early and not so early anymore. I think there's a couple things happening here, and I want to try to break it down as concisely as possible. But one thing that happened to me today, even so I've been a moderator in the largest cryptocurrency group on Facebook since early 2017. All right. It's great. It's just called Cryptocurrency Investing. It was a huge source of knowledge and information for me. And I ended up becoming a mod because I was active in the community. Just this morning, I saw a post where somebody was trying to explain NFTs to the people in the cryptocurrency group.
Wow.
And 90% of the comments were fraud, money laundering, environmental scam, money laundering,
screenshot,
tax evasion. And I just like, I was honestly shocked and like kind of hurt, like I was like, I thought these were supposed to be like the people, the people with the open minds, but so in that sense, we are still really early because you still have cryptocurrency people who don't understand what's going on with NFTs. But at the same time, we're really late. Now, I said Junkyard Dogs, we launched at the perfect time, right in the nick of time, honestly, to have an overnight sellout the way we did. If you launch now, it would be more difficult, but that's because there are so many copycats. That's because there are so many fake, shallow, hollow projects that are just, it's a scam. It's a rug pull, and maybe they don't intend for it to be that way. But a lot of times, look, what happened with Junkyard Dogs was in a lot of ways lucky. I mean, look, we're creating a business. We're creating a business here. Okay. And what happens to 90% of businesses in the first 2 years?
Fail.
They go.
They fail. They fail.
Yeah.
So Beanie Maxi pointed this out to me. It was a huge light bulb moment. Okay. And again, if you're not, you need to follow Beanie Maxi, Punk 6529, DC Investor. These are my favorite guys. Beanie, he gets kind of a bad rap. I don't listen to all he says, but he says he makes really poignant remarks many times. And it's important to try to take that in if you want to have a well-rounded education. But he pointed that out, and it really turned on a lot of light bulbs for me that even a good concept with good art, and a decent team has a more than likely failure rate, just given the way that these things play out. There's not an infinite runway, and you see how fickle public attention can be. You know what I mean? Even some great projects have really low floors right now, and people are wondering why. What happened to our floor? Well, the truth is they can't all have super high floors, and even the floor just represents, floors are an illusion. Floors represent a level of confidence, where the confidence is at the project. The way NFTs are being evaluated right now are so far detached from any type of reasonable criteria. It's kind of scary, but that's also how we can make the money. But people are speculating, and so you see the projects that do the best have the most hype around them. Let's look at Mechaverse, for example. Mechaverse had insane hype. It was almost like religious like fervor, right? And then pre-reveal, the floor was 8 ETH, and people were buying, and they were regularly trading hands even above that. And then after the reveal, it plummeted. Now Mechaverse is under 1 ETH. Now there's a lot of people could break down why did that happen, but at the end of the day, there's almost nothing Mechaverse could have done, in my opinion, post-reveal to maintain that valuation and deliver on a $40,000 investment. You know what I mean? Like, what could they have possibly done to make that seem reasonable or worth it? To me, look, I'm in NFTs, and I just have to say, I just want to be honest here that a lot of these valuations don't make sense to me. Sometimes I'm looking at a project and I'm rubbing my eyes. I'm like, okay, so everybody's screaming the floor is 2 ETH, but it should totally be 5 ETH. And I'm looking at it, but I'm like, but why? But like, why is $8,000 not like reasonable, accurate, and good enough? Like, not everything has an infinite horizon for growth. Junkyard Dogs, look, I can't say I'm speaking from a position of power here. Our floor is like 0.05. It's maintained steadily though. Actually in US dollars, our price has been the same since mint. Okay. So that's one thing. I guess it's a minor, tissue accolade, but we have a really active community. Okay. Our Discord is popping. Our floor is not zero. Okay. Our unique wallet holders, while it was declining for a little while, is on the rise. We're almost back to an all-time high of unique wallet holders. We have been building.
About how many do you have in Discord?
In Discord, we have over 10,000. Yeah, I think we have 11, 12,000, which back in the day was really impressive. Nowadays, I don't even know where all these people are coming from, to be honest, or even if they're real. But I've seen some Discords, in the tens of thousands. I think even Mechaverse had 100,000 people in it. And so for me, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on what's going on there. But yeah, we have a really active Discord, 12,000 people. It's cool. We have a private section. We have a public session. Also something else you should know about Junkyard Dogs is we love dogs, right? And so we have partnered with Big Little Life, which is a Russian animal adoption service, or how do I call it, organization, right? And they're the people who I got my dog from. My they're so essentially in Russia and different parts of Eastern and Western Europe, dogs just aren't treated really well as far as animal control. It's not super sophisticated, especially in Russia. And it's usually just a bullet to the head. Somebody calls, complains about a dog, the police get dispatched, and they just put them down. And so Big Little Life is this just organization of old Russian ladies who are just absolutely insane for dogs. We have a YouTube video on our YouTube if you want to see. I spoke with Yulina from Big Little Life, and anyway, long story short, I was really happy to be able to forge a partnership between us where we have made at this point $30,000 in donations to them for the direct rescuing of dogs, and also for the construction and completion of an animal sanctuary. They had bought some land and begun an animal sanctuary, but they had run out of money, and they weren't able to complete it. And so actually with our donation, they'll be able to make a really amazing facility that'll be able to hold between 50 and 60 dogs.
That's great.
And yeah, oh, it's awesome. And
yeah,
funny thing about crypto charity is that it's not always easy to give your money away. A lot of these organizations, the mainstream ones, they either ignored us for a month or longer, or they made it sound like they were doing us a favor for accepting our money, and they wouldn't give us any bones. It's like, all right, well, we'll take it, but we can't like give you any public recognition, and we can't do this. Or they weren't even going to use it for animals in need right away. They were going to keep it in an account and allow it to develop over 4 or 5 years, which
wow.
Well, look, I can't say that it's like a terrible decision to do with their crypto donations, but as an organization that wanted to make a donation that was going to affect dogs right away, like in the short term, it wasn't an acceptable solution. And so contacting Big Little Life, I talked to the chief financial officer. They actually started taking crypto donations for the first time just for us, just to take our donation. And so it's cool. I mean, it's awesome. Yulina texts me pictures all the time, and and then I pass them on to our team and put them in the Discord or post them on social media and stuff. And so, yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Here's a question for you. If you had,
sure,
let's say 1 minute, 30 seconds to explain NFTs to somebody that does not know anything about NFTs, what would you tell them NFTs are?
NFTs are digital property. In the past, data, you could copy it, you could send it, you couldn't distinguish the original from the copy. And so making the concept of digital property could not exist. What NFTs do is they take something like a picture and they say that this is the original. And even if you right click and save it, those will be copies and the original will always exist. And this can be extended to games, items inside games. This can be used for art. This could be used for financial instruments, even your mortgage, any type of document or something that needs authentication. So digital property is what NFTs are on an immutable ledger at that. So, but unless you understand Bitcoin, it's going to be hard to understand NFTs, honestly. Right. But if you do understand the concept of an immutable ledger and money on that immutable ledger, right, then it's just one step further. That now you have data, unique data that has a certificate of ownership, right? That says that this is the original. And then because it's on the blockchain, they call it provenance, right? Who owned it in the chain of custody is always clear. So there's never any confusion on whether this is a fake or original, or who had it, is this stolen. It's all on the blockchain, which is amazing and also terrifying. So right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So
well, this was awesome.
Yeah, and thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, this is terrific. We look forward to staying in touch, and we'll definitely keep you updated on the Billionaire Links Club.
Yeah, please do. Definitely contact, and I'd love to talk to you guys some more. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for letting me ramble on. I love NFTs, and if I were just to give some closing words to everybody, I would just say, please do your own research. Don't FOMO into things. Only invest responsibly with money that you can afford to lose. We don't want to lose it, but in the unfortunate case that happens, you don't want to be you don't want to be caught in a dangerous situation. So that's all I'd like to say. It's a really exciting time, but you also have to practice responsible trading practices. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, Shep. Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Becoming. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort, and we'll catch you in the next episode.